Hello everyone, my name is Joshua Samuel, and today we're going to be doing the Children's Bible Study. We have already prayed, so I guess we're just gonna dive right into it. So again, I have my good school book, my history book, and I'm going to turn to page 190. I mean, if you use a Beck of books and you're in 6th grade, I guess you can flip there with me. This was the medieval church, and the medieval church during the Dark Ages did a lot of bad things, such as they murdered a lot of people. So today, we're going to be going into the Inquisition. Now, I just want to state, if you have any 6 or under, make sure that you get them out of the room, because some parts of this are extremely, should I say gory? Well, kind of, but you know what I mean. So, Mom, will you please go to the tab, which is the first one, the first tab. Share screen. Let's start with the first one. This was the Plory. I don't know much about this, but I do know that it was used to sort of choke the person, and they would they would put the person inside of it. They would have their hands and neck like this, and that was pretty much used so that people passing by could humiliate them and do other sorts of bad things to them. So this was the Plory. It could kill a person, but it wasn't meant to kill a person. So we're gonna hop on to the next one, which is the Iron Boot. So could you please flip to the second? This was put around your leg or the person they were torturing. And so the spikes would eventually go inside of the person's leg, possibly break it, and they would put it on for several hours at a time. And so pretty much the person was now paralyzed for life. So let's move on to the next one. This one was called the Scavenger's Daughter. They would pretty much, as you can see, they put barbed wire around it. So pretty much they would set you on this thing. You couldn't move. And then they would hang you for hours at a time. And I guess, would you please move down to the bottom? Down? Yeah, right there. This is pretty much it in action. That's what they would do. The next one is probably the most nerve-wracking one, which is the Iron Maiden. And no, it is not a band. It is a band, but that's not the point. So pretty much it's an upright coffin, and there was spikes all around it. And so when they put you in it, all the spikes would go into your body, and you would suffer and you would die for loss of blood. The next one is the Jogs. So they would pretty much tie you to the nearest lamp or something, they would pretty much nail it into the wall, and you're stuck there. There are also different types, like ones that would go around your head and around your neck, or sometimes even more dangerous things. Would you please go up to the search bar and put the bastinado? It was pretty much a foot whip.
This one?
Yeah. So they would hang you by your feet, and it wasn't a good story after that. They would have a Cacto 9 whip, I think, and they would whip your feet. So now you would also be paralyzed for life with this thing. The next one, let's move on to the next one. This teaching is going to be shorter than usual. It's just, I'll get it out there. Emma, would you please read what it's called?
The rack.
Yeah, the rack. So pretty much they would tie you to it, and then they would turn it around, dislocating your lips. I mean, not your lips, your limbs. Sorry. So that means you're paralyzed and you can't move for the rest of your life. You pretty much can't do anything. Let's move on to the final one, I think. And would you please read what it is?
The brink.
Yeah, this is what I was talking about. This was mainly used to punish women. So it's pretty much the same as the Jogs, but it has a more secure way.
So
there are lots more, such as being walled in, crucifixion, and all sorts of other punishments. Another one is this is just from my memory, I think it's called the Katherine Wheel. So they would roll you down, and at the bottom there would be like a spike or some fire, and so you'd pretty much be burned alive or cut in half. And at this time, the Vatican also found a way to remove the skin. So sometimes you'd see a de-skinned person hanging on a pole. There are so many other ways. I guess you pretty much heard about crucifixion. We all know what that is. So yeah, that's the Inquisition.
From 1203 to 1805, 50 million Christians died, suffering at the hands of Rome, 'cause they believed in Christ alone. They died through Europe, especially Spain, for they saw all but Christ as vain. He suffered by his death for men, to save them from their awful sin. 600 years of martyred saints that history cannot erase. With iron heel and iron hand, the Roman popes rule the land. Those ignorant of history may be swept into apostasy. We won't be lulled by Rome's sweet lie, with 50 million reasons why. Salvation is by faith alone, in Christ alone, by grace alone. a sovereign God, give faith to man. Salvation's in the Maker's hand. This gospel offends Rome today. They offer up another way, a counterfeit, a compromise. Beware the ancient papal lie, with such a cloud of witnesses who by grace died in their Lord. Recall their memory to say, by the same faith we live today.
Today, most people have some knowledge of the Holocaust of World War II, those 6 years of unspeakable horror and suffering that the Jewish people were subjected to under Hitler and the Nazi regime. Few, however, are aware of the facts about an earlier atrocity, the Inquisition, the 605 years of torture and murder that was inflicted on Bible-believing Christians because they refused to compromise their faith.
The Holocaust, which was an unspeakable event in terms of its horror and suffering against the Jewish people, in which 6 million people were put to death, literally liquidated. The Inquisition, which is a term which is forgotten or not known to most people, certainly the younger generations, occupied a much, much longer period, more than 6 centuries of, again, unspeakable torture and slaughter of it involved tens of millions of people, possibly as many as 50 million, according to reputable and trustworthy historians.
Many people are not even aware of the term Inquisition. It is that period of 605 years where the Church of Rome, in a methodical, organized way, tortured Bible believers and others so that they would give up their faith and trust in Mother Church and not submit to a personal faith in Christ Jesus alone by His grace.
The Roman Catholic Church began the practice of suppressing heresy long before the 12th century. To the Roman Church, anything that did not agree with their system of religion was a heresy and must be suppressed.
It wasn't a good time for Christians. They mainly fled to the hills. In fact, entire races were wiped out, such as the Waldenses, the Lollards, a lot of other people. John Huss, which was an influential person at this time, was burned at the stake. And would you please show them what burned at the stake is? This was the most common way of execution. If you want to get a more detailed picture of the Inquisition, there's a movie called Flame in the Wind, which you can watch. So pretty much they tie you to a piece of stalk, and they light it on fire. So pretty much you are burned to death.
So who did all that?
Well, I don't remember his name, but I can pretty much say around that time, Pope Urban, I think that was his name. I don't remember, but it was around the time when Pope Urban, it came to an end when Pope Urban ruled. No, I'm sorry, it started when at the end of Pope Urban's reign. Pope Urban was in charge of the Crusaders, which pretty much, they had you go and kill people, and so that you could be able to be accepted into God, because
Say that again?
They would
Is this in your book?
Yes, the
I want you to read
Crusaders.
it, please.
The pilgrims go to Jerusalem. During the Middle Ages, people from all over Europe often made pilgrimages, long trips for religious purposes, to Jerusalem, where Christ had spent much of his early life and where he had died. They thought that they would receive special spiritual blessings for making these pilgrimages. For many years, the city of Jerusalem had been controlled by Arab Muslims who allowed pilgrims to visit freely. The Turks captured Jerusalem. In AD 170, Jerusalem was captured by the fierce Turks who had no respect or concern for Christians, which were the Catholics. The Turks mistreated the Catholics, destroyed their churches, and destroyed their monasteries, and put a stop to all pilgrimages. This greatly disturbed many Catholics. As the Turks gained power, the leader of the Eastern Empire became alarmed. He appealed to the Pope for help. Catholics, or Crusaders, recaptured Jerusalem. With the cries of their leader as well as the people, Pope Urban called upon the Catholics to fight for the monasteries and gain back Jerusalem.
Question: isn't it the monastery or the monks?
Yes,
And
but
then
a
there's
lot
still
of Catholics go there.
But
Yeah.
they're the same thing. I
Yeah.
don't understand that.
Yeah, they're pretty much the same thing.
Because the monks came from through the Catholics.
A lot of Catholic churches are actually monasteries. So pretty much, if this is the building, this side is for the regular people, and then the rest of it is for training monks or
And
nuns or other things. No, nuns lived in separately from the monks.
Okay.
Because of these efforts were to be in the name of the cross, the cross, they were called Crusaders. Many of the Crusaders, or Catholics, had true religious reasons for the Pope, but many also went for selfish purposes. Few were prepared for the long journey, and still fewer for war. Some often stole to get food. There was arguing and distrust among the people. Many died before reaching the Holy Land, kind of. 8 different crusaders attempted over the years. In AD 199, a group of crusaders were able to drive out the Turks out and gain control of Jerusalem. They kept control for parts of 200 years.
Crusading, holy war, whatever, are only examples of a much wider category, which I call ethical warfare. That is warfare waged on behalf of some ideal, which is believed to be for the benefit of mankind and to be so beneficial that warfare is justified. Pope Urban II preached the First Crusade. I am pretty convinced myself that some very great figures in Christendom, St. Anselm of Canterbury, St. Ivo of Chartres, to give you 2 lead, were extremely dubious. Had the First Crusade been a disaster, then these forces would come to the fore. But as it was, the First Crusade was an almost seen as a miraculous triumph. I mean, an army, Western army, marched unsupported, unprovided into Asia for 2,000 miles, beat off Muslim forces and took Jerusalem. And contemporary view was, well, the Pope's been proved right. This is God's enterprise. The crusade was penitential. Warriors were called to fight as an act of penance. It put fighting on the same scale as penance, fasting, prayer. It was seen as salvational. for the people who took part in it. And that idea had actually emerged just before the Crusades in these civil wars in Europe. But that is what came to absolutely characterize crusading. It is penitential. It is fought by volunteers. You can't be a penitential conscript. You've got to volunteer to take this penance on yourself, although, of course, confessors can give you this as a penance. But it is fought by volunteers. That is why crusading was so chaotic, because it was so hard to order these people about when they were all volunteers. But it was an army of volunteer penitents. The laws of Christian warfare was that a war of conversion could not be fought. You could not convert by force. You could only convert by reason. That is not to say, of course, that individual crusaders did not think that they could convert by force, or that conversion by force occasionally accompanied crusades. But crusading had to be defensive and reactive if it was to accord with the Christian traditions on war. Crusaders were often called peregrini, they were often called pilgrims. Now, pilgrimage had already developed a whole set, as you could imagine, as one could imagine, had developed a whole set of liturgical customs and rites, which were taken over wholeheartedly by crusaders. Processions, regular mass, more regular confession than was usual at the time, fasting. On the First Crusade, the Crusaders fasted for 3 days before every battle and used to regularly process barefoot at certain points whenever there was any serious crisis. And you may wonder how on earth they ever won anything at all. There's a lot to apologise for in the Crusades. Almost every crusade of the Central Middle Ages was accompanied by the persecution of Jews in Western Europe. An interesting feature is that this did not occur in the East. I mean, once they conquered the East, they acted with toleration towards Jews, Muslims and the rest. And in fact, the rabbinical tribunals in Palestine in the late 12th and 13th century were famous. But in the West, every crusade gave rise to pogroms. Well, the church constantly tried to stop this. I have to say the bishops were absolutely consistent in their attempts to stop pogroms. But this was very hard to get through to people.
Can you tell us more about the Waldenses? Because that's fascinating.
The Waldenses, Peter Waldo. In late 1100s, another Christian hero, Peter Waldo, had the Bible translated into language of the people who lived in the Alps. His followers, called the Waldenses, spread the gospel to many parts of Europe. The Roman Church called these people and other like them heretics.
Why were they called heretics?
Because some people did not agree with the Catholic Church such as we do. And I'm thankful that the Inquisition is not going on still today, because we probably wouldn't be here. The church set up a special. It says special court, but I know that that's not true. It's a special. What do they call it? Execution court called the Inquisition. It's not a court, because court is where you go to get fined and not fined, but you can either
justice.
Yeah, justice.
Mm-hmm.
But this is not justice.
No justice.
This is freaking I'm gonna murder you because I don't agree with you. And a court also has you can either be innocent or you can be guilty. But this one was okay. You're innocent, but you're still gonna die. oh, you're guilty, but you're still gonna die.
So either way, you're doomed.
Yeah, you're doomed.
Okay.
That they used to find heretics and kill them if they would not renounce their faith or submit to the Pope.
Wow. So they had to submit to the Pope.
Yeah.
So you didn't. So when you say renounce their faith, what does that mean?
That means I give up all Christianity. Jesus doesn't exist. The Pope is God.
I got it.
John Rifle, who lived in England in the 1300s. It's called the Morning Star of the Reformation. He spoke out against the power of the Pope, and said that the people had a right to read the Bible for themselves. If you don't know what I'm talking about, if you go to a Catholic church, the Bible is irrelevant, pretty much. You have a priest read it to you, and pretty much they literally take if this is the Bible, they literally just rip out every page. Okay, we don't need this. We don't need this. No, this proves us. This kind of proves us. This is bad. This is bad. I don't agree with it. I don't like this page. No, not this. Pluck, 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 pretty much. And so they're left with this much of a Bible. Instead of it being a thick Bible, it's this. Pretty much, that's what happens. That's actually what happens. He was the first man to translate the entire Bible into the English language. His followers, the Lollards, made handwritten copies of Rifle's translation of the Bible and traveled all over Europe preaching the gospel. So many people accepted the truth of the gospel that the church leaders took strong action against them. They said that anyone caught reading the Bible in English could have his lands, goods, and even his life taken away from him.
Wow, read that again?
They said that anyone caught reading the Bible.
Who said?
The Catholics, the Vatican said that anyone caught reading the Bible in English could have his lands, goods, and even his life taken away from him.
Wow.
Which we do know now from history that it wasn't your lands, your goods. It was all of that, plus your life.
Wow. Yeah. See, the Roman institution is no good.
So,
that's why if people go back to history, okay, what grade are you in?
I'm in 6.
You're in 5th grade, 6th grade. What are you trying to go to the next grade level without
I
us?
forgot. Look, I'm trying to focus on the Inquisition here, not my grades.
Okay, well, look at this book. Show people this book. Maybe they might be able to buy it.
Yeah,
It's
this is from a Becca book. It's called Old World History and Geography in Christian Perspective, and it's the 4th edition.
So,
You can see it because it's the Great Wall of China, the Eiffel Tower, which you can pretty much recognize, hopefully, and the Pantheon, and the Colosseum on the back. So,
okay,
it's published by a Becca book. I don't know if you can buy it, just this book, but because it comes with like a science book.
no, you can buy it.
But I think you can buy it. Yeah, I think you can buy it individually.
This is for your children. The
Yeah.
children can read this
Yeah,
book.
buy
It's
this book.
history.
Buy this book. I know it's a children's book, but look, it has a lot of information.
It's not a children's book. It's a history book
It's a
for
history
school.
book.
Yeah.
Yeah. His followers, the Lollards, made handwritten copies of Rifle's translation of the Bible and traveled all over Europe preaching the gospel. Many of them didn't come back. So many people accepted the truth of the gospel that the church leaders took strong action against them. They said that anyone caught reading the Bible in English could have his lands, goods, and even his life taken away from him. The Bible was so precious to these people that they read it anyway, and many faced terrible persecution.
Wow. Now these days we have the Bible, we won't read it.
Yeah, pretty much. Because a lot of churches. Can you hand me a Bible? Yeah. So this is a KJV Bible. Okay, it's that thick. The Catholic Church just okay. I see this. Okay, let's open up this Bible. The Holy Bible. Pluck, We don't need this. No, this is not right. Pluck, 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 pluck. I don't like this page. This is wrong. In our eyes. I don't like this page. This proves the Trinity. We're gonna leave you right here, buddy. I don't like this page.
Just prove the Trinity.
I don't like this. Pluck, 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 pluck.
Okay, stop plucking.
Pretty much.
Thank you.
That's what they do. And so it comes up out of the New King James Version or the
NIV,
NIV.
RSB.
Yeah, RSB.
There's what? RSB.
What's RSB?
I don't know. I just said it.
Yeah, a bunch of letters. So,
RSVP.
oh no, now it's J.
RSVP. RSVP. Okay.
Okay, let's focus. Yeah. So that's what they do. So now some pastors, they have a dozen Bibles on their thing, and each one is a different translation.
Translation.
Yeah, translation. So this one is KJV. This one is NIV.
They don't have KJV.
No, yeah.
95% of them don't
Yeah,
have.
they're all
A few
yeah,
of the pastors who have
few
KJV.
pastors. KJV is pretty much stuck in the water. And the NIV and the NEV. Yeah,
NEV?
NEV. Yeah, New English Version.
It's too many, son. I can't even tell you.
Okay, just go on the internet and you can look up all Bibles and NIV, this, that, yeah, KJV. Yeah. And I'm going to tell you the KJV will be buried behind other Bibles because nobody uses it. But if you want a true version of the Bible, I highly suggest that it's a KJV.
Even your school, the Buckeye, they use KJV.
Yes, they use NIV.
Nope, there's KJV Bibles.
Okay, yeah.
I know that for sure. That's why I purchased the curriculum, because of KJV.
So, in Revelation, this is a topic for another day. This is, we still have time. It said that 3 horns were plucked up on the great beast. Those 3 horns, and I can say it right now, it's in here somewhere. Just gotta find it. Those people were the Petrobrusians, the Waldenses, and the Lombards.
Really?
Yeah. They were all killed
By
the Vatican. So the Waldenses were people living up in the Alps, which is the mountain system right above above Italy. And since the rest of them are all gone, we don't really know where they are. So, yeah. 3 races. All of them killed.
3 nations?
3 nations. All of them killed. That's sad. Just because somebody doesn't believe what you believe doesn't mean that I'm going to take my 9mm Glock and shoot you. And if anyone doesn't agree with me, pretty much we know the drill. So this is what happened during around I don't know, the early 1000s to the 1300s. Yeah. This lasted 300 years. 300 years. That's bigger than the Holocaust. And I think we all know what the Holocaust was. So the next time I'll be here, we'll be going into other things the Catholic Church does. Make sure that the next 2 to 3 lessons, if you have any 6 or younger, make sure that they're out of the room, because it's not something that children should play with. So in that case, I'll be leaving you. God bless you. I'll see you next time, and God bless. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and ring the notification bell to all so you never miss out on new teaching. In that case, God bless you and goodbye.